I'm sad that I can't stand up today because since the new PC's on the floor, I have to use. I just got. I didn't get it in yet, but I ordered it yesterday. The an USB extender. So like I was trying to like my goofy self is like, oh yeah, let me stand the desk up with the webcam plugged in. I like almost like ripped it out of the freaking I/O panel. I'm like, I'm not being smart right now. So
Yep, happens.
yeah, but other than that, I mean, this week's kind of a little bit interesting. I did donate. I think I told you I donated blood Saturday. So I guess I did a mini deload this week. Not really, sorta. Like I kind of went into workouts, kind of um, feeling it out pretty much, and then like seeing where I can push things. So like today, like it was just accessories. So I was like, yeah, I went a little bit harder on my biceps and triceps, but donating blood's a wonky thing. I think I've said it before, but I do the double red blood cells where they give you fluid like while you're donating. So like they donate, like you donate for like 5-10 minutes, and then you get like a bunch of fluids, and if like it kind of feels like almost like a dye going in your bloodstream. Makes like it has like a pre-workout effect where it's like get your lips a little cooler. Like it feels like a cold rush in like your veins and your blood. So it's like you feel a little bit better than a regular donation because it's I guess one step up from like a whole blood donation. Um, but yeah, it still like puts me on my rear end, and then like I was like shoveling a bunch of mulch on Saturday, so I didn't really like take it easy on Saturday. So like Monday was my first day back, and yeah, so and the kid hasn't been sleeping, so that's been kind of rough. So it's like a lot of things are getting thrown at me this week, and like we said in our previous podcast, like um, you kind of have to be like a chameleon. You have to blend in with your workouts. You got to make sure you're realizing all that stuff. And like I knew like I couldn't really go heavy this week. Also, I started doing I busted out the shoes. I wiped the dust off, and I started using my squat shoes again. My goodness, high bar got my glutes and my quads feeling some type of way. Like I said, I don't feel the strongest. Like I was able to do 225 for reps, whereas like before, like my regular stance and regular setup, like 225, I could do beltless like for the same amount of reps. And I was doing a belt. I put a belt on just to get more control of my like my stability of the core, just to make sure things weren't like moving that they shouldn't, because I haven't touched high bar in a while. But yeah, I got my glutes definitely feeling like I was doing hip thrust almost. So
How did your elbows feel throughout it?
yeah, I mean this whole week, like elbows feel great. Like there is some soreness, but like I think what we were alluding to last week, like it could take a bit to like kind of get that out, like get the kink out. But like I said, like when it was happening, I was like to the point where I feel it throughout the whole day, and not just working out. So I was just like, man, like this feels a lot better. Like I'm not like doing yard work or landscaping work, and my elbows and like hands are killing me because of like the issues I've been having with working out. So that's good.
Nice, nice, nice. Okay, cool beans. That's good.
The squat shoes also felt a little weird because like I said, I've been wearing just barefoot shoes pretty much this whole time, and I do like lace them up a little bit higher so they don't really like tighten by like my almost by like my toes. Um, so like that kind of helps with them being kind of narrow. But see, the thing is, they're in such good shape. Like I'm not gonna go out and buy like what is it, the TR1 or what's that squat shoe? That's barefoot squat shoe.
It's like TYR. It's Squat
Yeah.
Universe Squat shoe. Yeah.
Yeah, they came out with a shoe that pretty much like competed directly with like a Vivo barefoot, and then I comment like, "Well, thanks for making a barefoot shoe, but they're the same price as Vivo barefoots." It's like, come on, like I feel like barefoot shoes are still in like the plasma TV era right now, where it's like so damn expensive to get in and like buy a shoe. And thankfully, there's like places like Splay where you can get them for like 40 or 50 bucks, which I work out in Splays pretty much regular now, and they're like my going out shoe. So it's like there's some ways, and yeah, I like Vivo over Splays, but it's like at the end of the day, like man, it's still in that plasma TV era where plasma TVs are used to be like 4,000, and you could probably get them for like a couple $100 now. Like, well, LEDs now and like OLEDs. Well, OLEDs are now the expensive one, but like you know what I'm getting. You know what I'm getting at, right, Roman?
I think that also like companies can fetch that price right now. So when consumers get a little bit more savvy, or somebody tries to like kind of undercut, you'll get a little bit of like price war action. But I mean, from what I understand, Vivo's like taken off. Like, there's a reason why like there's so many scammers going after Vivo Barefoot. It's because it's just like so many people are trying to buy them.
Yeah.
Myself included. So make sure you check the URL, folks.
I feel like the barefoot shoes are like kind of like when iPhones first started coming out. It's like only a select few, and then people are like, I don't want to wear. But then again, you look at training shoes, like Metcons are so freaking expensive too. It's like insane. It's like that's why you gotta like I beat my shoes to the ground, because it's like I can't I don't want to keep paying for that. But yeah.
I got my squat shoes for like $28, $29, $30 though at Nordstrom Rack, and it's because I watched and I waited, and they kept dropping, and they kept dropping, and then like finally they were like $28. I was like, all right, this is like too good. This is too good of a deal to pass
Those
up.
are the Adidas ones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, like, yeah.
No, Reebok.
Oh, Reebok. Oh, that's right. Yeah, because of the big emblem, because they're white and it has like the black Reebok symbol, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say Reeboks and probably the Adidas are probably the cheapest squat shoes you can buy. Because like there was an outlet mall over here in Illinois, and they would sell the Adidas like cheap ones, which I don't know why I never bought. And then I bought the Nike ones, and they were like $200, and I'm like, I think it might have been more money than that, to be honest with you. So that's why I don't also buy another pair of squat shoes, just because it's just it's been like 10 years. Like they're like 10 years old. So I guess the investment is well worth it at that point.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. Especially if you use them from time to time, but it's like you might use them for 12 weeks, then you might not touch them for another couple of years. So you might use them for like 20 years type situation.
Yeah, just like my belt. It was a gift, but my Inzer belt was like $100, but like that's also like 10 years old. So
that might be it. Excuse me, sorry, Gainz Nation. Stayed up a little too late last night.
Tom Brady.
TB12.
So that was the Hall of Fame. That was the Hall of Fame induction that you went to, huh?
Yeah, it was sick. It was
why?
cool.
Why? My question is, which I didn't watch like too much about it. Why is it that I understand and I kind of get a good assumption, but why is it that they brought out Jay-Z and the people in the front row didn't even care? Like they were just like on their phone. Like there's a video of like Jay-Z like playing, and the smoke shows up, and then the people in the front row are just chit-chatting on their phones, and I'm like, geez, this is exactly why I hate the idea of all this stuff, because it's like the people who are in the front row are not really truly appreciating like what they're part of. And then like you got Roman probably in the 300 level, just like having a gay old time, just killing it.
We ended up creeping down to the 100 level, and we were only like a few up, but we were supposed to be like in the way backs of like the 200s. So that was pretty sick.
But you get what I'm saying, though, right? It like I feel like you probably enjoyed it a lot better than the people that were probably like 100 feet from Tom Brady.
Oh yeah, I mean, I saw so many people like coming and going so many times, like, and like some people like one of the guys that was with us, he DM'd one of these people that was there, and he was like, "Hey, we saw you," kind of being like, yeah, he was just being silly, I guess. But she was like, "Oh yeah, no, I saw you." She's like, "I had to pee so bad." So like, some people legitimately like had to use the restroom, but I saw like people going in and out of the tunnels, like probably a dozen times in just a few hours. Like you might have to pee like a few times in that time frame. Like if that. But man, it was so cool. Jay-Z was there. Kenny Chesney played. Bill Burr was essentially like the MC for part of it. Got to see Gronk like up live and personal. Jules, Wes Welker was there. Like so many Patriot greats. Vince Wilfork, Willie McGinnis. Like,
dude, that's probably like one of those things that you dream of, being able to attend one of those things. And it's like, man, it's so eye opening when you get to see all those people physically in person.
some people like Drake May, for example,
Mhm.
crazy young looking, crazy, and like it makes sense. He's 21, but it was like I saw him, I was like, dang, Drake, like.
So Mac Jones didn't end up showing.
Somebody was joking about that. Sorry, Mac. Somebody was joking about that, but I was like, I think he's in Jacksonville right now, but I'm not really sure. No, I didn't see Mac Jones last night.
Yeah, he's probably still upset that New England got rid of him.
Yeah, possibly. I wonder. Actually, I didn't see KJ. But he's the most recent Viking to move over to the Patriots. He was probably there.
KJ Osborne?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't even realize that. Holy cow! I like KJ Osborne. He's caught like 2 game-winning touchdowns last year, or the year before that.
Yep.
Was Randy Moss there?
Randy Moss was there. He waved to
him. I've never even seen Randy Moss in person.
It was sick, and like legit, we were like 10 feet from him. It was so cool, and he was so chill. He's like walking like this. He's just like.
That sounds just like you.
His hands are massive. Like
yeah,
large hands.
You honestly, like meeting like one of my good friends that played football in high school, and like even like shaking like Ed Cohn's hands, like you could tell the difference between the human you are and the human they are. Like Ed Cohn's hand was legitimately bigger than mine, and I'm like almost a foot taller than Ed Cohn. Ed Cohn is probably shorter than Roman, for crying out loud. In his hands, when I shook his hand, I felt like a little child. Like, you know what I'm talking about? When you shake someone's hand, you're like, wow, I feel like a little man.
Yep. Randy cried. We gave him a standing ovation, and he got all choked up. He was like, oh.
Randy Moss?
Yeah. He was like, oh, y'all weren't supposed to do this to me. This is Tom's thing. I'm not supposed to cry. You know?
I'm pretty sad that they never won a championship together.
I know.
That was like that's probably the most underrated Patriots team when Randy Moss was on their team, and I feel like that was like one of the times where Tom Brady could have got another ring, even though he's got plenty. Yeah.
I mean, if it wasn't for the ridiculous, what was it, Davis Tyree, helmet catch, yeah, like that was ours. We would have gone 19-0. That was a crazy.
Eli Manning was Tom Brady's kryptonite.
Yep. Eli had like a little. He wasn't there. Peyton was there last night, but Eli had like a little send off message to Brady, just congratulating him and stuff like that, as you'd expect.
Oh, so Peyton Manning was there too? Holy cow!
Yeah, they had a 1-on-1 on the stage. It was sick. It was really cool.
Yeah, that's like the only person that gets argued against Tom Brady the most, even though he didn't get the amount of rings that Tom Brady had. My one buddy would argue like for 8 hours to tell you Peyton Manning's better quarterback than Tom Brady. So it's like,
I don't even think I'm a huge Tom Brady fan, but I don't even know if it's debatable. I think that Peyton, from a skills perspective, was probably I don't want to say far better, but I think from a skills perspective, Peyton definitely had the edge over Brady. But Brady was just like Mr. Clutch, and he just he was just kind of poetic in the way he did things,
also too, like the organization itself. I mean, the Patriots organization compared to like the Colts or the Broncos, like it killed. I mean, what was his name? Tony Dungy. Tony Dungy was an amazing head coach, but like the consistency of the Patriots compared to the Colts and the Broncos, I guess will like never trump like the comparisons too, right?
Yep. Obviously I'm a Patriots fan. I've been a Patriots fan since I was 4 years old or something, I remember watching Drew Bledsoe play, so I would have been 5, 6, 7 years old, right? When I was a kid.
You were almost gonna say Drew Brees, weren't you?
I almost said Drew Brees, yeah. Drew Bledsoe. But the only person that comes to mind, an iconic defensive player for the Colts during the Manning era is Dwight Freeney. I really can't think of anybody else that was an iconic Colt. So my point being is it's when you think about the Patriots, it's Teddy Bruschi, it's Vince Wilfork, Willie McGinnis. It's I mean, J.C. Jackson. We had J.C. Jackson in his prime when he was like Mr. Picks, or like INT, right? Like Devin McCourty. We even had Jason McCourty for a year. Like you go right down the line. Drod, like, you know, head coach, unbelievable linebacker. Dante Hightower, again, another unbelievable presence.
I liked Hightower a lot. He's good.
Hightower, he's like our linebackers coach right now for the Patriots. But like my point being is like so many greats over the years, and like the one thing that was like evident last night is like everyone said that like Brady's drive drove them to like do better, be accountable to one another. And those that like weren't or were like counter to that, they didn't stay in the organization long. Like I was talking with my buddy Joe this morning, and we were talking about Randy. Like 2007, like one of my favorite stories from Belichick is when he like first like traded for Randy Moss. So he calls him up, and Randy's like, you know, who's this? You know, kind of confrontational because he was in a hard way in Oakland at the time. It was the then Oakland Raiders. And Bill Belichick is like, oh, hey, Randy, this is Bill of the New England Patriots. And he's like, you know, stop calling my phone. And he like hangs up. So Bill's like, what the hell? So he like calls him again. And Randy's like, who's this on my phone? And Bill's like, hey, Randy, it's Bill Belichick with the New England Patriots. And he's like, stop calling my phone. And he like hangs up again. And Bill's like, what is going on? So he's like, I'm going to try one more time. So he tries one more time. And he's like, whoa. Like, Randy, before you like hang up, this is actually Bill Belichick with the New England Patriots. Like, how would you like to come to New England? Like, we just traded for you. And he's like, damn, really? You know? And Randy's perspective was like, because unfortunately he like kind of became a pariah, and the media, they just like dug into him. Cause like Randy, you know, he had his moments where like, you know, he took his shirt off, and like, I think he might not have come to like an optional training, you know, it's optional. Like you don't have to go. He like took his shirt off, and he's like doing sit-ups and like push-ups in his like front driveway in Oakland. Yeah. And then they like televised it as like, oh, you know, this disgruntled player, blah, blah, blah. Like they were just trying to like, you know, mar him in controversy. So he like comes to New England, like playing with Tom Brady at the time, who'd gone to 3 Super Bowls. You know, everyone's like, oh my God, you know, this Tom guy like means business. And he goes off for 23 reception touchdowns in the year. Like I was watching highlights of him the other day, man. It was so fun to watch. Like he would just like, he'd take like 5-yard strides at a time. Like it was ridiculous. Like he levitated over the grass, and he would just put his hands out like this. Tom would like airdrop it right in his hands. Boom, be gone for like a 66-yard touchdown, you know? They were absolutely ridiculous together that year. And then he kind of fell off. He was with us, I think, like the 2008, 2009, and 2009, 2010 season. But we had like kind of disagreements, from what I understand, the Patriots organization and Randy Moss, and he wanted an extension. We just couldn't make it happen. So he ended up like leaving. I don't even remember where he went. He went to like San Francisco or something like super random. Yeah. Yeah, I wish we could have kept him around. But that one season, 2007, was majestic.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I watched them as a kid with Dante Culpepper. Like it was so. I mean, he played it even with Chris Carter, and he was killing it. So it's like Chris Carter was one of like the greats too. So it's just one of those things. But the Vikings, they always had good quarterbacks and decent quarterbacks and good great wide receivers. I was gonna say great quarterbacks, but I was like, I think the wide receiver roster was a lot better than their quarterbacks. I mean, look at Justin Jefferson now. The highest paid wide receiver that ever played right now. So,
he's a beast.
Yeah, and then we got rid of Stephon Diggs, and thankfully it helped us. If anything, like it helped us. So.
Yeah, man. I like Diggs. I like his style of play a lot, but he's definitely had his issues with organizations. Like he had his issues. He had some spats in Minnesota before he left, right?
Yeah.
And then in Buffalo, unfortunately. So I hope he kills it in Houston this year, in Texas, because the Texans were fun to watch.
Oh yeah, Texans are going to be a playoff team again for sure.
Yeah, like Nico Collins was like one of those players. Like I kind of had like, I've been skeptical about Damian Pierce as like
Yeah.
a RB1 for a while. But like Nico Collins kind of like crept up on me and was like a big surprise from like a production standpoint for wide receiver. So that was really like cool to see that season. Anywho.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I was just saying, let's spend the last 10 minutes, Roman. Let me ask you the question, and then we'll kind of get the natural conversation going as we always do, as we just did for the last 20 minutes. Why do you think people working adult class, right? Anyone working, why do you think people go for bigger goals, health goals, like working out goals, like in example, run a marathon, triathlon, obstacle course races? Why do you think the adult population chases more of that stuff sometimes instead of going for the bigger promotion or the higher title, more responsibilities at work? Why do you think there's individuals out there that do that instead of like climbing the ladder, let's say, to make it as general as possible and kind of specific to the working class as being an adult? I know it's kind of a weird question, but I was just curious to see what you think, and then I mean we could talk through it. So
I think the simple and like straightforward reply is that it's just a difference in like a values based system. So like for myself, like I don't have the aspirations to be the like my employer, whoever my employer is. Maybe that'll change in the future. I'm happy to be like quote unquote what they call an individual contributor, although I
yeah,
have qualms about that because I contribute far more than just what an individual contributes. But I also have like a high value on my free time and like my time with my family and friends and whatnot. And I've been that way a long time. And like I shoot for excellence in anything that I do. Like any organization that I've worked for, like I do believe like when I've left them in a far better state than when they first took me on. I
yeah,
did that for a retail store that's local to the New England area. I did that for a public library. I did that for the camp program. I did that for the school that I went to. I did that for the sub shop that I worked in. I did that for like the newspaper. Like I've had people tell me years later, they're like, "You were the best newspaper carrier I had." I was 8 years old and I'm running like through this neighborhood,
yeah,
newspapers, knocking on doors, like helping out like those that were like physically disabled to be able to like go fetch their purse or whatever. I was reliable, I was trustworthy, etc. But like I also value that time like with family and with friends and just like my free time in general. It was so fascinating. I was listening to this radio show the other day, and they're talking about like scheduling in like alone time, and that's something that like I don't like to dwell in alone time, but like for a very long time, I very much enjoyed like just doing things like just by myself. So it might just be like a walk in the woods by myself, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever it is. I'm not out there for like days at a time or anything. But then I very much like coming together like with my family and sharing like, family meals or, we like create a new silly family tradition or whatever it is. So I think that people's values are different. And I think it's great that people will just like it's fantastic, buddy. Like I don't even think like the last time you ran a 5K was what like 5-10 years before you ran the marathon, and you were just like, I'm gonna run a marathon, and you gave yourself a year to train for it, and you crushed it. Like that's amazing that we can do that, right? Like
yeah,
human beings are like we're such fascinating like creatures. Like what we can like plan seemingly so far ahead, whereas like most other like creatures, like I actually do attribute like a high level of intelligence to other like other life forms, like a dog for example. But like my dogs, like they're not planning like, all right, how am I going to implement these like these principles of like progressive overload so that I can run faster and like catch more rabbits. Like goal setting is not often a characteristic of any other life form other than humans, generally speaking. there might be some extraterrestrial life forms that I'm excluding. Not trying to exclude you there. Not trying to exclude artificial intelligence, because hard to say what state it's in right now. But that may be something it's progressing towards. But yeah, I would say to end this long rant and ramble, it simply comes down to like differences in like values-based system per like person, per community, or like per cultural artifact.
I love it, buddy.
What do you think?
No, yeah. I think I agree with most of that stuff. The only thing I just want to add is like, I think it's a sense of completing something outside of work, because sometimes, like, depending on the values, right? Like sometimes people work to make a living and to just have enough money to get by. But see, the thing is, what's like Roman was saying, I think a lot of the times, like for myself, is like where else can I challenge myself? So like I picked a career that it's like pretty like physically not demanding at all. So in my purpose of that, right, 9 years ago, I entered the world of like office work, desk work, and just like Roman, same company. But my goal was, I loved working out and training so much. What could I do to make that still like mostly part of my life, my family's life now? Like obviously when I first started, I'm like, I didn't even think about having like a kid, right? Or kids and a family, right? It's like all that stuff kind of trickles into like bigger things. But I think the idea is, it's just like people sometimes choose these paths for a reason, and in the long run, it's going to make them healthier. It's going to help them achieve more things like fitness goals and health goals. And I don't think people realize that sometimes, because I don't know if like I don't really like tell people a lot, but like I told Roman, because Roman's brother's a plumber, but I got in the plumbing union when I was 21. I declined it. I could have been so much more educated, and props to people like Roman's brother, one of my best friends in an electrician union. Like they know so much that Roman and I don't know. And it's a skill sets that within the past 9 years, I couldn't tell you how much different skill sets I could have had at this point in life, because I took the other path. But when I took the test, I got the award letter saying, "Hey, do you want to join Local 130?" And then I said, I think I took like probably like a week. And this was when I was 21, which I didn't really think much through a lot of the things. But I knew if I took that path, 9 years later, yeah, like I have a house now. Shit, I probably could be doing more of the work myself instead of having people help me out, which we haven't really hired anyone out. But the fact is, I don't know if I would have been genuinely as happy as I am right now, if that makes sense, if I didn't do the 2 bodybuilding shows, the 2 powerlifting meets, and the marathon, and then whatever comes like in the future. So it's just something that just Robert. I was texting Robert. It's very hard to like text people and kind of explain what you're going through. But like my brother's a doctor, and he's ran multiple marathons. He's biked like multiple 100-mile trails on a bike, and he's still gonna be doing that stuff. He's like really good at tennis now, and we didn't even play tennis really much growing up. And we were talking of like, it's so crazy. Like even at his level of his career, he values spending time with his daughter, working out, and setting those goals, and trying to find that job where it doesn't affect those things as much, because he knows in the long run that's what he wants to do for the rest of his life. He doesn't want to work 12 hours or 24-hour shifts like he did before. Like he doesn't really want to do that. He could be making a lot more money. So can Roman and I doing what we do, but we could be working longer. But I think it boils down to those values, like Roman said, and it's just like one of those things. It's like a lot of fitness podcasts probably don't talk about this stuff, but like, when I have something in my head, I just share with Roman and we talk through it, and I think it makes a lot more sense. But that's all I had. Did you want to wrap it up with anything, Roman?
Yeah, I'd say the one thing too, like the point I think in going over all this is if that's how you are, or your mentality, or you get those notions, I think oftentimes people feel guilty because of this like American exceptionalism that we have, and it's like always work more, always do more, and like when you don't, or when you like potentially take your foot off the accelerator, like you're slacking, you're a slacker,
or you're not trying. Yep.
or you're like one of like any number of ad hominems that the media, the mass media, or legacy media will toss at you, such as like quiet quitters, that kind of thing. Like there's no need to feel guilty about wanting to dedicate more time and effort into, let's say, like a physical cultural pursuit, meaning like powerlifting, bodybuilding, whatever it might be. And you're like, okay, well, as opposed to working 60 hours a week, I'm going to work like 45, for example. It doesn't mean like you go down to 20. I mean, if you can afford it, sure. I think most people probably can't. But like also you can't like help feel a certain way, but it's like about the dwelling in a certain feeling. So if you ever get those kind of thoughts or feelings, just know that like other people have them as well. And it's okay to lean in on your interests or your values, to pursue something other than work, for example, because in many ways the way the system works is to get us stuck in this mode of thinking, in this 9 to 5 type work situation. Always work more, always do more. What you do is never enough type mentality, to move towards like more of like, I hate to be like cliche, but like more of an abundance type mentality, where it's it's like, okay, understanding, hey, there's constraints in like everything that we do. Where can I spend like my time that I enjoy what I do the most? Again, it doesn't mean like you don't work. I think very few people have that luxury afforded to them. But what it might mean is it's like you don't necessarily have to listen to Kevin O'Leary on Fox News or CNBC, who's saying that it's like if you're working less than 50 or 60 hours, then you're a quiet quitter. It's like, sure, let that dude think. Like he can go and like do Shark Tank or whatever the heck else he does, and like he can essentially work his life away, because if that's like what's important to him, then like I'll be it. But if your values are different, then like no need to feel like ashamed if it's in like a pursuit such as like powerlifting, bodybuilding, CrossFit, like whatever the physical pursuit is. That's all I got for you.
Oh yeah, thank you, Roman. Thank you guys for listening. Make sure you tune in, subscribe, like, comment, share, and comment and message us if you want to see something different, or if you want to see something more or less. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.